Welcome to The Debate. Today we're looking at Chapter 4 of The Skin I'm In, where Miss Saunders stands in front of her 7th graders and asks them to describe their own faces. I mean, it's a really high-stakes experiment. So the question is this radical empowerment, or is she just recklessly exposing vulnerable kids to abuse?
It feels reckless to me. I mean, look, her intentions are clear. I get that. But the execution is, well, it's dangerous. The whole exercise feels performative. It forces students like Malika to just fake being tough rather than actually, engaging with the idea. It exposes them to ridicule instead of saving them.
See, I don't think she's looking for toughness. She's modeling resilience. She stands right there, points to her own birthmark, the blotch, and she tells them so plainly. Preachers prayed over it, old folks worked roots on it, all these concoctions failed. She's proving that external fixes, they're just pointless. So when Malika calls her a freak, and Saunders just owns that word, she completely disarms the insult. The weapon just loses its edge when you refuse to bleed.
Okay, but that whole interpretation relies on the students being mature enough to understand that. And the text suggests they really aren't. I mean, just look at the responses. You have Malcolm Moore claiming his face says he's the doctor of love. It's pure performance. John claims he doesn't take no stuff, but the narrator points out he looks more scared than mean. This exercise isn't getting to the truth, it's just getting them to put on a show. Malika lashing out isn't some breakthrough. It's a predictable result of a kid feeling cornered and embarrassed.
You're focused on the friction, but I think you're missing the actual outcome. Malika calls a teacher a freak to her face. In any other classroom, she's in the principal's office, she's suspended. But here, Saunders goes, quiet as a tiger? She doesn't punish the insult, she actually validates the honesty behind it. She's showing Malika that you can speak a hard truth, even a cruel one, and the world won't end.
But at what cost? Malika isn't just speaking her truth, she's acting out of self-preservation. And let's not forget what happens next. Larry Baker immediately shouts that Malika's face says she needs to stay out of the sun. That is a direct, colorist insult that was triggered by Miss Saunders' prompt. So by opening the floor to this kind of honesty, Saunders basically just handed a bully a microphone. That's not empowerment, it's negligence.
It exposed a dynamic that was already there, sure, but it also provided the antidote right in the same moment. You bring up Larry, but you're ignoring Gregory Williams. In that same breath, Gregory pushes back at Larry and says, Malika's face says black is beautiful. That defense only happens because Saunders opened the floor. She validates the whole struggle. She even admits liking myself didn't come overnight. I took a lot of wrong turns. She's trying to bridge that gap between adult authority and, childhood insecurity.
But is she bridging the gap, or is she just becoming a spectacle? I mean, when she's talking about her face, the text is very clear that the students stare and point, like she's some kind of exhibit. Faith throws a pencil across the room. The kids bust out laughing when Saunders tries to show them the poetry in her walk. They aren't absorbing some deep lesson on self-love. They're just being entertained by her otherness. The room is simply too immature for what she's demanding of them.
The laughter is just a release of tension. Discomfort is the price of growth. Miss Saunders is forcing them to look at something they usually look away from, including in themselves. When she says, it takes a long time to accept yourself for who you are, she's planting a seed. She is showing them how to see the poetry in their own walk. And even if they laugh now, that image of a woman refusing to hide her blotch, that is a powerful counter-narrative to the shame they all feel.
It is. It's a noble message. I'll grant you that. But the method completely ignores the social reality of that classroom. You can't just demand radical vulnerability in a place where kids like John are terrified and kids like Malika are already targets. It leaves the most vulnerable students totally exposed without any kind of safety net.
Maybe, but without that exposure, nothing ever changes. Saunders offers the harder path, but it might be the only one that leads to real self-acceptance.
Or she just pushes them too far, too fast. And the text leaves us hanging on whether Malika's actually going to accept this lesson or just retreat even further into her shell.
A teacher refusing to play it safe. I suppose it rarely comes with some collateral damage. And that's The Debate. Thanks for listening.